So it's been a while since I did a word of Wokism, and I've got a few actually in the pipeline right now. But today I'm just gonna do one. You might think it's a strange one to consider a woke word, but it isn't that it is woke. It's a regular word that we use all the time, but in certain contexts, it has a new woke definition. As James Lindsay says, they use the same words, but a different dictionary. The word is skill or skills. You'll often see it as skills. In fact, I'm not sure I ever see it as a singular. You'll often see it as something like social skills, emotional skills, social and emotional skills, wellness skills, or some other version of emotion-based skills. And I think we've just come to accept this, that, well, yes, I want my child to develop emotional skills. But I want you to think about it differently now that we know they are implementing Skinnerism, bfskinnerism, behaviorism in our schools, which is pretty much what gets used to train animals. Non-rational creatures that don't have the same degree of agency and dignity and reason that humans do. What they mean when they say skills in an educational context these days, we know it's not reading and math, don't we? Because whenever we say, what about those reading skills? They jump in with, no, it really needs to be social and emotional first, or we need to make sure they're all mentally well and that they're emotional regulation skills are in place before we can work on the reading. So we keep asking about the actual hard skills that you can learn as a skill. In other words, something you have to learn to do, and then you can demonstrate that you can do it, and you can do it repeatedly, exactly the same way, predictably, in every situation, the same way, over and over. Those would be academic skills. Emotional skills, pretty hard to make sure you're going to give the same emotional reaction predictably. So what exactly is the skill that they're trying to teach you, or teach your kids rather? Well, the skill is knowing how to have the correct emotional reaction to stimuli, right? If you're in an uncomfortable situation, how should you react according to them? So those are the skills that they're talking about. When they talk about emotional regulation skills, they mean your ability to hold your emotions back when they decide you shouldn't show emotion. And what I'm seeing is that those situations are things where you parents would think it's appropriate for your child to show, for example, anger, frustration, even rage, joy, etc. But it wouldn't be okay for the collective. Let me give you an example. A child is bullying another child, and it's based on race. And no, the bully in question is not white. And they're calling them terrible names that I will not use in this video. And the kid tries to avoid it. And the kid goes to the teacher, and the teacher doesn't do anything or says, use your skills to talk to yourself and understand the other person and understand where they're coming from and tolerate all the things that they have to use their skills to do. What they mean is use your brain to override your sense of injustice. Use your brain to override your desire to say something back. Use your brain to override your desire to be even angry about it and seek some kind of justice. That's the skill you're supposed to use, is to talk yourself out of feeling in the way that they don't want you to feel. And they might say, well, we don't want the child to get angry and then hurt the other kid. Well, there's a fair gray area in between where I can get good and angry and I don't hit anybody. So when the kid comes to you and says, I'm really angry, this person's hurting me, or, I'm frustrated, or can you please do something? And they tell the kid to not feel how they feel about it, and then that they don't do anything. That gets them off the hook. Well, I told them not to feel angry about it. They obviously wouldn't say it quite like that. Well, we had a discussion about how they should regulate their emotions and they should calm themselves down and they should not think badly of the other person and they should understand the other person's perspective and they should. Meanwhile, your kid might well be a ticking time bomb or just start hating on themselves. They can't do anything to make their situation any better. They might start getting anxious and not wanting to go to class or go to school. They might cut a wide berth around this kid and start becoming afraid of people in general. They might mistrust the teacher. Their grades might start to fall off, etc. So this skill they've developed over time at the insistence of the trainer who is telling them nothing good is going to come of you feeling this feeling. Maybe only bad things. Certainly my displeasure as your teacher. So develop the skill of not having the inappropriate reaction to the situation I don't want you to react to, so that we can achieve our social justice or our sustainable development goal or whatever the hell it is. That skill leads them, perhaps, I would say likely, to have other skills fail to be developed. Like, how do I assert myself effectively? How do I defend my boundaries? How do I seek help and trust other adults or other people to help me when I need help? How do I ask for help at all? So that whole set of behaviors, if you want to call them skills, go right ahead, that doesn't get developed because they were so busy developing the skill that the teacher or the SEL program wanted them to develop. And because parents are not asking, what do you mean emotional skills? Like, what skills? And I say, well, we're regulating their emotions. To do what? Regulating them how? What kind of regulations do you want to run your child's emotions? And you might think, well, Deb, that's obvious. I don't want them, flying off the handle and having a temper fit at school. I don't want them melting down. I don't want them to have every little thing set them off and get them angry. Okay, sure. But which is more effective? Trying to preempt that constantly by teaching them that having reactions to different people in different situations is wrong because social justice or because race or because privilege or because something else, and they don't get to discern when it might be okay to be angry, when it might be justified to tell a teacher that something's going on, or it'd be justified even to have a complete meltdown and fit. There might be a situation, you don't know. But so when you're doing it at home, don't you do it on a case-by-case basis? Isn't the skill discernment? And I wouldn't even call that a skill. Is it a skill? No, it's a form of wisdom. It's a form of wisdom. Deciding whether to feel, how intensely to feel, and then what to feel is a function of wisdom. It's a function of first taking in the facts of the situation, assessing the facts of the situation, double checking that they're correct. Because if you got your facts wrong, the subsequent emotion might be way out in left field. So once you've checked that your facts are correct, person is bullying me. Yes, they are up in my face, calling me names, dumping my books, stealing my stuff, basically making my life miserable. Okay, facts check. Person is aggressing against me. The logical, rational, reasonable response is anger. Now, whether that anger leads to physical reaction or pushback, then they have to use wisdom to decide, is this person posing an immediate threat? Do I need to physically fight back? Or is this person just posturing and now I need to go to the teacher and ask for help or just cut a wide berth or whatever? These are so many different decisions that have to be made, and we as parents instinctively understand that. And when we see our kid interacting, when we have a situation, we tend to take it on a case-by-case basis, ask them what happened, and then try to guide them as to what would be the appropriate response. That doesn't scale to the classroom or school level. So instead, they teach skills, emotional regulation skills. When you feel discomfort, this is what you should do in every situation. Unless the discomfort that you feel is due to microaggression or some kind of perceived racial or, sexual orientation or identity injustice, this intersectional injustice, then your anger is not only justified, everybody has to stop what they're doing and listen to you. You need to be heard. And then the whole class needs to, rally around and support you and affirm you and apologize to you. And the person who allegedly hurt you, even if they didn't mean to, intention doesn't matter, even if it was, like they were completely oblivious to it happening, they now have to react in a certain way, and they need to demonstrate certain emotional skills for you, for your benefit, for that person's benefit. That's the exception. So another skill that your kids might be learning is, how can I game the system? How can I have whatever reaction I want to have, but make it justified? How can I be, as frustrated and angry with everyone as I want, take it out on everybody, not have to regulate my emotions or rein them in? Well, I know what I need to do. I need to wear a costume of a certain kind of person, and then I can basically I'm untouchable. Now, would they say this out loud? Probably not. Do they understand it instinctively? Absolutely. I have no doubt. You always have to think about, what's the lesson behind the lesson? How many lessons are you teaching with your lesson? Be very careful, especially with children who are pretty much hardwired to survive, do the least amount of work or exert the least amount of effort possible to survive, have fun and enjoy themselves, and experience some kind of pleasure with the path without a difficult path to get there, etc. So what skills are they teaching in school when they tell you they're teaching emotional skills? Maybe you need to dig a little deeper into that. And when they tell you, well, we're teaching them how to regulate emotions, it's very important, you need to ask them how they know it works, how exactly they're doing that. Do you do it to the whole class? Because, as if kids are all the same. You couldn't even train a room full of dogs using the same behaviorist, stimuli, punishment, reward system in a whole room. It has to be done one-on-one, and generally in a case-by-case basis. Sometimes it's appropriate for the dog to bark, even to bite. When you train that out of them, bad things happen. And when you train wisdom and discernment out of your child, when you make it clear to them that the emotional skill they need to have is consistently and predictably behaving in a way that indicates they feel a certain way, that's a little thing we like to call manipulation and control. Command and control. It's what narcissists do to their victims. It's what cults do to their initiates. It is not the path to wisdom that I imagine you would like your children to follow. So, skill is today's woke word.